let's talk about God's provision. We're going to move to 2 Kings chapter 4, 1 through 7. Y'all remember the widow with the oil? No? Let me tell you about her. So there's a widow, and she was asking Elisha, she like, listen, my husband done died out here in these streets. I ain't got nothing. And the collectors is talking about they trying to sell my sons into slavery. One post do. So Elisha was like, all right, bet. Don't worry about it. What you got in your house? Now, the woman only had a jar of oil, right? So Elisha like, okay, bet. Go ask your neighbors for some containers. Borrow what you can. And he specifically says, do not borrow just a few. Okay, cool. So she borrows the containers from her neighbors. She had faith and she does the work, right? Because faith without works is dead. And so what happened is, the next instruction that Elisha gave her was to pour the oil into the containers that she received from her neighbors. So she's pouring oil. She's getting to one of her last buckets and she asks her son, hey, I need another container. He says, hey, listen, there isn't any more containers. And then the oil stops, the flow stops. So with all of the oil and all of the jars that she had, Elisha told her to go sell that oil. She made enough to sell the oil as well as be able to live off of the oil that she sold. She had one jar. God used what she had because she already had more than enough. She just couldn't see it for herself. Who out there is asking for more? We don't do hustle culture. We don't have to. You don't have to acquire more because God already gave you what you need. The resources and the tools are available to you and you have them right there in your home, but you have to put them to use. You have to put them to work. You have to get up. You have to follow divine instruction. You have to be obedient. You have to have faith that God is who he says he is and can do the impossible. We serve a God of increase and multiplication. We don't serve a God who's put inside of a box. We serve a God who is magnificent. He is omnipotent. He can do all things, and power and authority lies in his hands. Who out there is trying to acquire more, trying to hustle? God is saying use what you already have because I already gave you what you need. Now, she was given specific instruction to not borrow a few. If she was embarrassed to borrow those jars, or if she thought, what difference does it make in borrowing all these jars if I only have one container of oil? If she would have not followed divine instruction, she would have missed out on her blessing. And how many of us on a day-to-day think, what is the point of this? What is the point of that? And we miss out on opportunities. Moses was given specific instruction to speak to the rock, but instead he struck it. God is merciful, but he is also just. So because Moses was partially obedient, which is still considered disobedience, he had to spend 40 years with these ungrateful, whiny, stiff-necked, God's words, not mine, people, all to be stripped of his promise. Obedience is connected to your promise. And partial obedience is still considered disobedience. So, where we see few, God has the power to multiply. Okay? But where you are now, do you have faith? And do you trust and believe God for who he is? Or are you tired and you just going to do things your own way? You're going to do close to what God asks for you to do because you feel like this will work out a little better. Listen, do not allow your emotions and the physical, do not allow your emotions and flesh to strip you away from God's promise for your life. You are right on the edge of a breakthrough. The brink of the breakthrough is right there knocking at your door. And God has a few more steps that he needs you to do in order for him to completely restore you. God sustains us. And sometimes we find ourselves being ungrateful and needing more and wanting more. But what are you doing with what God already gave you? You have more than enough. I am so glad that we serve a God that makes a way out of no way. His ways are higher. His thoughts are higher. And so I'm glad that we serve such an amazing God that we don't have to wreck our brains trying to think of what to do next. He already has divine instruction. All we have to do is put in the work, because faith without works is dead. Have faith, because without faith it is impossible to please God, and be obedient. And then we walk into our promise. Hope this was good for somebody. It was definitely good to me. And I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a good night.